We are gonna make a paper mache clay pumpkin. So we're gonna start step one in this video. There's gonna be a couple videos before we finally get to the finished product because it takes days of drying and cleaning. So the first thing you wanna do is get as much newspaper as you can. Start making balls of newspaper. Now, I am not gonna put these tight. I want them to be somewhat loose because I'm going to want to pull them out of the middle of the structure when I'm done. So I'm going to get started by just adding newspaper. Okay, so here's another one. I just want to add more. Keep adding till I get the size I want of the pumpkin. So let me just keep adding my newspaper to it here. This is the size of pumpkin that I want, so I'm going to just keep going until I get kind of where I want. Let me add one more and see how that goes. There again, I'm not going to put it really tight. I want to be able to hopefully get this out of there. That's pretty close. So what I've found, a way to... Then I take my piece of foil here and I lay it down like this. I can kind of roll it like this. The shape that I want gives me kind of the round shape. And then I can take this for the bottom, twist this up here like this to give me kind of the top that I want. Okay. I might need to add a little bit more, but here's sort of the stem. Okay, and the bottom right now is folded in. We don't want to have it folded in. We want to have it so it's kind of open because we're going to need to have a way to pull the newspaper out after we're done. So we're going to kind of leave it open like this on the bottom. And then what we'll do is we'll just sort of build around. So here's kind of a basic shape. That's pretty close. Okay. Then what we want to do is we want to decide what kind of a face that we want. We want it to look like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some black paint and a brush so I can kind of paint the face shape that I want on it, and then I will sort of know how to build it up. So let me get my paint and my brush, and then I'll be back and we'll keep going. So I'm going to just be kind of guessing here. I'm not exactly sure, but we're going to just see what happens. So I got some just regular black craft paint. Here, just regular black, doesn't matter, you're going to cover it up anyway, and a paintbrush. And I want to kind of get an idea of where I want the face to be. So I'm going to want an eyebrow to be up around here somewhere. Okay, another eyebrow up around here. This is just to give me an idea of where I'm going to want to begin adding the clay. Okay, so if there's an eyebrow here, that means my eyes are going to be kind of down in here a little. So there again, I'm just kind of eyeballing the shape that I want, just so it gives me something to work with. Okay, like that. Those look like they might be a little far apart, but that's okay. A nose, maybe right in here like this. Okay. So far I've painted my eyes, eyebrow, and my nose. If I don't like it, I know I can always just sort of move the eyes over a little bit, and I will be adding clay to this eventually as I go, but it just gives me an idea. And then the mouth, it's going to be somewhere down here like this. And I want the mouth to be crooked on this one as well as the other one, so it's going to be up here, down, and then up on one side, kind of like this. Okay, we want this to dry. Now that we kind of have an idea of where the eyes, the nose, and the mouth are going to be, we will begin building up around these spots. So that's pretty close for now. Just an idea. Okay? Okay, so now the next step is we're going to kind of build up a little bit around the eyes so we know where we want them to be. So I like to take just a piece. I use a lot of foil. Just kind of do it like this, sort of twist it around so it's in a nice, fairly thick shape. While we're waiting for the glue gun, we'll go ahead and make a few of these. So here's one. So just grab the foil. There's no rocket science involved to this at all. It's just a matter of just kind of twisting it and making it what you want. Basically, this is going to be the outline to build up the mouth so we can build up the clay around it, the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. This is where we want to make sure when we add it that we're careful to get it kind of even how we want it. Okay, so I'm going to just make a few of these like this. Keep going, so that way we'll need one for the mouth. I buy my foil at the dollar store, and I can actually make quite a bit of stuff out of just one thing of foil. So, okay. So here's the mouth. So we're just going to continue to work this around till we get it fairly tight. Check the glue gun, see how it's getting warm yet. It takes a little bit to warm up. Okay, so far I have a piece here. Let's see if this will fit anywhere near the mouth. So I just want to see if it'll glue onto here, because this is what we're going to need to do, is to glue it onto the shape that we have. So that's pretty good. So we'll just kind of make another one. It looks like we might need another one. Just to fill in some spots. So here we go again with this. Okay. Okay, so I have like 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 5 of these pieces so far. My foil's not far away, so if I need more, let's check the glue gun, see if it's heating up yet. Looks like it's trying to, so I want to kind of start here with this one. Put a gob of glue on here if it's hot enough to make the circle around the eyes that I want. Okay, and then I just want to put this piece on here as a start. So let's just put this on here. This glue is really hot, so you want to be careful not to be like me and burn yourself. Something I do on a regular basis is burn myself. Now, we don't want anything in here, because that's where we're going to eventually cut out for the eyes when it's done. So there's kind of one. Okay, let's get another one. Maybe we'll check and see how it fits. It looks like it should fit. So we're gonna put some glue here, quite a bit. More is better in my book, so let's put that. Okay, let's add this starting up here and kind of push it in place. There again, it's hot. I like to have a glass of ice cold water next to me just in case. Okay, so there's that eyeball. Okay. It's kind of up to you where you want your eyeballs to be. That looks pretty even though, as far as I can tell. Okay, and we also know that we want the nose to be, so we're going to do a triangle like this. See how it fits. And we want to just, even though we painted it here, it looks like it's off center, we want to make sure that it's center just because. So we may move it over a little bit from where the paint is, but that's okay, because that's the idea. Oh, you know what? Let's take a look at this. See, it might not hurt to just put some glue in here. Push it down. I'm going to use my tool because I don't want to burn myself. So let's just push this in here. Okay. I'm going to put some more glue right here so we can put this nose on here. Okay. I'm going to take it like this. It looks like I need it over here a little bit more because I want it to be somewhat in the center. Okay, and then we'll just bring this up here like this. Okay. There again, we don't want to put anything in here. We want to keep these kind of open. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and bring this over here so I can glue it down better. There we go. Okay, and then we'll just cut this piece off right here because we don't need it there for now. Okay. So now I have the two eyes and the nose where I want them. Okay. And then we're going to do the mouth now. So we're going to start with this one. So So I think I'll start right around here and put this here and just start right here. Okay, so I'm going to start right here like this. Owie, owie, owie. Okay, and then I'm going to bring it down like this and up here. So now what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to put some glue on here like this. Okay. Put some glue on here, just like this. Up here, like this. Okay. Gonna have to cut it off over here a little bit, but that's okay. Now I'm going to attach this down here. Okay. So you can see so far what we have is kind of the outline of where we want our face to be. I might add a tooth to this or even a tongue or something later, I'm not sure. So now I still need to finish off this. So I'm going to cut this one here. And then I'm going to add this one down here so it comes up to match. So I'm going to cut this one as well right about here. Okay. So we're going to glue this in place. So let's put some of this glue here. I'm almost out of the glue sticks. I have to go get another one. So I'm going to put this on here. Like this, right here and up to here. Okay, and just kind of hold it in place so you can kind of see our shape of what we have. That's a basic shape of what we want. So I'm going to go get some more glue and we'll work a little bit more on the top. So I will be right back in a second. So I want the top to be a little bit more, a little bigger. So what I want to do to make sure it has plenty of stability is I want to take this and kind of put it around like this here so that it gives me plenty of stability here. And then I know that I'll be able to attach it with the glue. So I'm just going to kind of do it. And then I have a flexibility to cut this off as I want. So I'm going to leave it like that there for now. I'm going to go ahead and put a little glue up under here because it certainly won't hurt, even though the clay will probably hold it in place. I just think it doesn't hurt to add a little bit of glue. I'm going to use my tool just because I don't want to burn my fingers anymore. Okay, so it's pretty simple. I like the foil because the clay sticks to it. It gives it a good solid structure on the inside. I'm just going to add some more glue here to kind of hold this in place. Okay. Go along and do the same thing in the back here. Like I said, you don't really have to because the clay will hold it once it's done, but I'm a little extra paranoid, so I'll just do it. It won't hurt anything. Okay, so we'll push this down and then just push this down here like this. Now, what I like to do with my paper mache pumpkins is I have a Halloween jack-o'-lantern here, and then after Halloween's over, I can turn it around and have it be a pumpkin. So we want to focus on the back as well. And right now, here we are at the bottom. We still want a good base here. So what we need to do now is build up some of this here. So I'm going to get some more foil. Like I said, you're going to go through lots of foil, but that's okay. Take the piece of foil, fold it in half, kind of crumple it around a little bit, and just put some down in here, okay? Because we want to build this bottom up so that we get a good base here too. We want a solid base for whenever we take out the bottom. So for here, just kind of like this. I'm going to go ahead and glue this under here. So once I get it where I want, which is I want enough hanging over down there so that I can fold it under. You just take this here, add the glue. You know, like I said, you're going to go through a lot of glue sticks. So get plenty. This will just kind of come over here like this and push in. And we'll just work around here and add some more glue here. Like this. Work around here like this. We'll fix this in a minute, but we're just wanting to build up the bottom of it. So now we're going to go ahead and glue this. So let's put some glue under here. Lots and lots of glue. A lot of people do paper and masking tape. I don't like to mess with that. I'd rather, ow, you didn't see that. I'd rather have the foil because I think it makes a better base. So, okay, so it looks to me like I need to glue some in here. So let's push this in. Let's be wise and use our tool so we don't burn our finger anymore. Now what I'm gonna do is get another piece of foil and start it here in the front a little bit. So again, I'm going to cut it, you know, so wide. It's not very big. It's folded in half. No, I'm probably not going to need that much. So I'm going to tear it here, kind of crumple it up a bit. And we're going to begin gluing it right here. We can go right up next to this mouth if we want. It's not going to hurt anything. We want to leave it down open in here because there again, we're going to need to build this base up. So right here. So now I'm just going to glue this in place. Okay, so let's take this and sort of move it. Add a heap and gob of glue here. Put this in. Press it in place. Ow, ow. Burnt my finger again. It's all right though. I can handle it. I'm used to it. I probably have calluses on my fingers from this. Okay. And then we're gonna go here. Glue. Gobs and gobs of glue. Okay. Right here, just like this. Okay, we can come in and fill these spots in later. So we should be beginning to get a pretty good base down here like this. We want to have a nice, we want this to be fairly thick around here because we need this to be really solid because when we pull the paper out, we don't want this to break. So now the next thing we would do would be to add some more foil down there. Let's first of all glue this in good. Okay. This up here. Okay, so here's what we have so far. Remember, we want it to lay flat as a jack-o'-lantern, but we also want to be able to turn it around and have a pumpkin after Halloween so we can use it through Thanksgiving. Nobody will even be the wiser because we'll have a nice jack-o'-lantern pumpkin. Okay, so now we're going to turn it up like this and work a little bit on this part right down here. So we're going to just get some scraps of foil here like this. This, I'm going to put a little bit up here like this, and then I can kind of fold it over and build it up a little bit. So this will be on here, this. And it will burn you through the foil, so you want to be careful with that. Okay, and then here I'm just going to, like this. Okay. So this is what we want to do is build this up, this edge up right here, so that we have plenty to work with when it's done. Okay, so there's that. And when we start putting clay on the bottom, we'll put it inside of here like this so that we're able to pull this out. So let's now come over here and do this side. So let's begin by putting this one up here, like this. So let's put some glue here, on here like this. Also on here like this. Okay, right here. And sort of push it down on the edge here. Build it in there a little bit. There will be a hole when we're done, but that's where we can put a tea light candle if we want. No one will even see it, it doesn't matter. Okay, so here we have again our jack-o'-lantern size. And then after Halloween, turn it around and you have your pumpkin. So we probably might want to build this up a little bit more because it looks to me like it's a little funky. So I like to just kind of crimple it a little bit and then maybe add it on. So let's just fill this in a little. And all you do is put some foil and glue it, and then even if you have it to this point where you have clay, you can add foil on top of it to build up stuff if you want. Okay, so let's do this. Just put this nice heaps and gobs around here like this to sort of fill that in so it looks like it's nice all the way around. Okay? Okay, so now we're at the point we haven't put the eyebrows on yet because we want to wait. The next step that we want to do now is we want to take the clay and we want to put it all around the edges like this. So we're going to fill in all these spaces. We're going to visualize the eyebrows are going to be here. They may wind up being moved up or down. Probably not down, but they might go up a little. But it's fairly solid now, and we're going to start by putting our clay on it. Oops, it looks like I need a little more glue right here. So let's put some more glue here. And to make the clay, what we do is we use equal amounts of white all-purpose flour, Elmer's Glue All, not school glue, but Glue All. I got mine on Amazon. And then drywall joint compound pre-mixed in a bucket. You can get that at Walmart, any kind of home improvement store. It's pretty cheap. I've heard that the DAP product, DAP, does not work with this process. I've never tried it, so I don't know. But you mix equal parts of the flour, drywall compound, and glue together, and it makes kind of a paste that winds up like this. Okay, so it's a nice smooth paste like this. Then what you do is you mix toilet paper in with it. I tend to mix it in something else because I like to save some of this other stuff to finish off areas like that, because it makes it really smooth. But by adding the toilet paper, it gives strength to it. So we're going to, I will show you how I mix the clay, and then we'll add some clay to this pumpkin. So I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so now we're going to mix the first part of the paper mache clay. I like to do small batches because it will get moldy. So I'm using, this is an old container that I got from Ham. So these work great if you save them. So we are going to use equal amounts. It doesn't matter what amount you use. If you choose a half a cup, you use a half a cup of everything. I do third cups because it will get moldy, and I usually work on small projects, so I don't want anything, I don't want to mix a lot. But you want to use Elmer's Glue All, which is right here. You want to make sure it's Glue All, not school glue. Okay, so you need Glue All. You also need regular white flour and some kind of joint compound that you buy from Walmart, Home Depot, Lowe's, wherever you get it from. It's pre-mixed all-purpose joint compound. I have heard the DAP, DAP product does not work for this, so I've never even tried it because I just heard it didn't work. So that's my experience with that. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get the flour because it is dry, and actually my measuring cup is still wet from when I did it earlier, so I'm going to get a different measuring cup. Okay. So the first thing I will do is I will put a third cup of white, just all-purpose flour in this container right here, okay? This is my kitchen measuring cup, so I'm going to put it back over there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my glue. So I'm going to get a third cup of glue. Remember, equal amounts of everything. This is a new jar, so hopefully I don't, or bottle, so hopefully I don't spill it, but let's get a third cup here. Okay. Pour it in on top of the flour. I'm going to set it like this, so it'll kind of drip in there. Move this aside. I like to use these little sporks that I get at KFC or A&W, wherever you find them. They're flexible. They're really nice because they mix well, they don't break. And when you let the stuff dry on them, you just clean them off. Now I just use this so it's still wet, but if you just set this somewhere and let it dry overnight, it's really easy to clean and reuse over and over again. So that's what I've got here. These here, they break. They're rigid plastic and they break. So here's my glue. I'm going to scrape some out here to make sure. And then I'm going to need a third of a cup of this joint compound. It looks like it's kind of wet in there, so I'm just going to scoop in here, actually. Maybe, I don't know. Let's see. Third cup. It's not rocket science. I like a little bit of a heaping cup of this stuff, though. Pack it in, and then it kind of heaps over. It's not Not a huge big deal, but pack it in there some. Okay, and then add this to it. Here. Okay, and then what you do with this measuring cup, you just set it aside and let it dry. And after it's good and dry and you squeeze the sides, it cracks and just cleans really easy, so you don't have to deal with cleaning it. Okay, so there we have our equal amounts of mixed all-purpose joint compound, Elmer's glue, all, and white flour. So this is a pain to mix, kind of, and trust me, you do not want to get your fingers in it. It is sticky, sticky, sticky. And if you do happen to get this on your hands, a word of advice: do not wash your hands inside your house or anywhere with plumbing, because if you get this mixture down your sink, it will dry and harden, and you will have plumbing issues that you'll have to call a plumber for. So I like to have a bucket of water, just that I can rinse my hands in with paper towels next to it, and then I dump the bucket of water outside. Or you can just try to be really careful and not get your hands in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video while I finish mixing this. It takes some time to mix this, but I'll show you what it looks like when I get it all mixed. Okay, so you can't mix this too much. You really want it to be as smooth as possible to get all the flour that's on the bottom mixed in and stirred in. So just, I mean, it's pretty smooth now. I've got it pretty good. So you just keep mixing until you get what you want. But at this point, is where you would add the wet toilet paper to it. But I'm not going to add toilet paper to the whole thing, because you can actually use this just like it is to smooth on and make smooth spots with it. So if, for instance, if you were going to use it like this, you could just smooth it in here like this. I like to do, I will do this sort of towards the end if I want to smooth out a spot. So you can definitely use it like this, but that's not what we're going to do at this point. I just want you to know you don't want to put toilet paper in all of that. So what you do is you take a smaller container like this. Now there's already some toilet paper mixed in this one, so we're just going to add to it so I can show you how I do it. So I choose an amount of the clay that I want that's mixed up here, and I put it in this container. Now, like I said, it will mold, so you know, I do smaller portions just because I do smaller projects usually. I don't make big stuff. Sometimes I do, but okay, so there's that. So I'm gonna just kind of wipe the edge of this off a little bit so that I can put the lid on and it won't stick terribly. I'm doing my best to not get my hands in this because I do not want to have to deal with washing my hands. So I've got that there. I'm going to put the lid on it now. And it stays pretty good in these containers. So then you have another little container like this that has just water. Here, you get cheap toilet paper here. I do 6 squares at a time. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 individual squares. You don't want to fold them tight. You just kind of wad them together. Soak them in the water, turn them upside down, and get them wet all the way through, and then squeeze it out. You don't want to squeeze it real hard because you want to be able to take it back apart. So you squeeze it out, and this is something I do in the evening if I'm just sitting and watching TV because it's tedious. So then you take this here and you just kind of open it up and begin to pull apart the pieces like this. And I'll sit sometimes in the evening and just mix this up while I watch TV, and then maybe I'll use it the next day, a couple days. So then these are the 6 squares that I started with. So I'm gonna just begin tearing them apart as much as possible. You don't want to squeeze it a lot, because if you do, then you wind up with lumps in the clay. So the more apart you can get it, the better off you are, I think. So we're gonna do this. And when I mix a container of this, I usually use about 18 squares. I'm not going to have to do that with this particular one because I'm mixing it with stuff that's already made, just because I want to demonstrate and show you how to mix this clay. So we're going to just do this, okay? And now at this point, maybe we might stop, mix it together really good so it blends in and gets smooth, just like this. Okay. So I want to just continue to smooth it in. This adds a little bit of stability to it, so I think it makes the actual sculpture stronger. Okay, so then I pick up this piece that I had again. I start just tearing it apart again, little bits at a time. It takes patience, but everything that's worthwhile takes patience. So you have to work at it, and that's why people that do art and make art like this charge so much, because there's a lot of work in it that most people don't realize how much work it is. Okay, so there's kind of the rest of those 6 squares. Looks like I got a little bit of paint in there that came off my fingers, but it doesn't matter because we're going to paint this anyway. Okay, so you can see it's getting thicker, but you still want to really mix it up good. Okay, we're going to do 6 more squares, or at least we're going to start with that and see. So here we go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to pause while I mix these because I just wanted you to really see. So I'm not going to fold them. I'm going to kind of crumple them. So I want to pick them up somewhat crumpled rather than folded. And then I'm going to dip it in and get it wet. Dip it in and get it wet. So it's wet all the way through. And then I'm going to gently squeeze it out because you want it to be wet but not soaked. Okay, and then once we get to this point, that's when you want to start pulling it apart to get to the layers of the tissue. Okay, so I will pause while I do this since you already know how to do this, and then I'll come back when it's mixed and we'll put some clay on the pumpkin, the first base of clay. Okay, so I'm pretty satisfied with the way this is. You can look in here and see the tissue. It's definitely got some more substantial to it that'll kind of bind it together and make it stronger, in my opinion. So then what you want to do is you want to apply your first coat on your armature of whatever it is you're making, whether it's elk or a pumpkin or whatever it is. So I have this mixed. I have these little tools that I got at Harbor Freight. I paid like $6 for them. They're stainless steel. They're originally made or sold. They call them wood carving tools. I don't think you could carve wood with them, but they work really well for applying clay and things like that. So these are what they are. They have all different shapes and sizes. I just love them. They work really well for applying the clay. So to start with, I think I'll probably maybe start with this one here. So what we want to do to begin with is we want to get our pumpkin and we want to start to just seal in and get structure around the eyes, the nose, and the mouth right here. And then we want to come to these edges where we can see that the foil's coming up and actually really make sure those are down. So one thing I might do is pull it back like that, put a little bit of this down in there, like that, and then just kind of pull it up and seal over the top. Because remember, this has glue in it and drywall compound. So you can go along the bottom. You can kind of do whatever you want, but for the first steps, I like to make sure that the foil is sort of sealed around the edges and build up around the face where I want it to be. And whenever you transition or you leave, like you get to a spot where you're done for the day, you always want to smooth the edge out because you don't want to leave a big transition point. So right now we're just going to kind of work around this mouth, sort of make sure it gets all the way up in there to the corners because we want to build it in. And we're also making sure that the foil is going to be well seated under here. So if you look here, you can see this, see that? We could put glue in there if our glue gun's hot, which mine is. So maybe I'll just add a little bit and just push it up. But you can also put clay on there, and that will also sort of seal it and hold it in place. Because once this stuff dries, it's pretty solid. So I've got a pretty big glob of it here that I'm going to drop right here. And just kind of spread it around to fill in these spots. I'm not going to do the bottom right now because I need to be able to set it down. I'm just basically trying to make sure the foil, see that flap, that the foil is all pushed down. And of course, we're going to put more layers on this. So around this mouth really good. Now remember, we don't want to put anything inside here because we're going to eventually cut that out so we can put a tea light candle in there if we want. Or if you would rather not have a candle, you can put clay in there and just paint it. So now I think I'm going to come up here and do this upper part of the mouth. So we're going to be right here like this. We want to get this really nice and snugged down here around this mouth. Because when we go to cut, we don't want it to break or have any issues like that. So let's just really kind of push it in around this mouth and this nose and these eyes. We'll probably build the mouth up more. I'm not sure. You just kind of see how it goes as you go. Okay. We're going to do around the eyes and the nose as well. So let's put some here. And this would be the time when you'd want to shape the eyes and see if they're the right shape that you want, and make sure they're even if you want. I don't care if it's even, because jack-o'-lanterns are not perfect. They're funky, and that's what makes them fun. So we're going to continue. Now we might cover the eyebrows, but that's okay, because we have a piece that we'll glue onto the eyebrows later when we decide where we want them, but we want to know where they are, but we have to build it up first so we have strength. So it's okay to cover up those eyebrow spots as long as we have an idea somewhat of where it is. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this one here. Right in through here. See, these tools I got at Harbor Freight for $6 are pretty good tools. Like I said, I don't think you could carve wood with them because they're not sharp, but they sure are nice for getting into crevices like this and spots. Okay, we're going to cover the eyebrows again, but that's okay, because we can decide where we want the eyebrows later. We kind of just put those on as an idea when we were originally designing the face. So let's make sure we get plenty in through here. We're going to actually, once this dries after a day or 12 hours or however long, it doesn't take that long. I can often put it down in the evening, and in the morning it's ready for another layer. But it does take some time. So just continue to work this around. Okay. Right down here, we're going to continue to just make sure to get it filled in as much as we can. Here, and in these spots, because these are where we're going to cut it down under here. So we want to make sure it's really built up good and strong at the base to begin with. This looks like it's kind of needing some extra over here. So we'll get a big old glom of it over here, slap it on like this, and just blend it over. See, here's where the top is, so we can just blend over the top of that, smooth it down. Remember, if I decided I wasn't going to do the back, I would want to smooth it around, because I don't want to leave a big extra ledge there, because that just makes it harder to put the next coat on. Okay, so let's come over here and do this eye a little. Okay. Fill that spot in there. Okay, here we go. Just get these really filled in so that it's a good solid base for this. Okay. Add some here, nice big amount. We want to try to keep it even, of course, as we can, but we want to get enough on there that it gets a good solid base. This will dry pretty hard, so by tomorrow morning or later on tonight, it'll be pretty hard. Got a hair in there that I can see. Now, I'm not going to go all the way up the stem because I need something to hold on to. This stuff, like I said, is really, really messy. You do not want your hands in it. Okay, so that's getting pretty good on that face. I'm going to come over here and build this up a little. Okay, right here. Now what I'll do is I'll pause the camera, I'll finish the back, and then I'll show it to you what it looks like. So we just want to get an even coating. Doesn't matter if we see the foil, because we're going to put 1 or 2 more coats on it. You got to just build it up a little bit at a time. So let's make sure we have plenty right around here. And if you see a little bit of a hole, just kind of fill it in so you can build it up a little, so it's even. And we'll worry about the lines on the pumpkin later. And remember, we want this to be a jack-o'-lantern for Halloween, but then we can turn it around. It'll be a pumpkin for Thanksgiving all the way through till Christmas. So you want to make sure you do as good a job on the back. Now this here, see these? We can just slap some in there because this works as a glue as well. I'm going to slap this in there like this. See? And then I'm gonna pull this up over here like this. And then just, because we're not gonna carve this part, so it doesn't matter. Okay, so I'm gonna continue to kind of go over this where the foil is all the way around like this, everywhere. This looks like it's a little bit kind of bare, so we're gonna maybe put some foil in right there. But I'm gonna pause here and finish this up, and then I will show you when I'm done what it looks like. Okay, so here we go. There we go. Okay. There we go. So then we'll kind of push that up and let it dry. You don't want it really thick because it just takes that much longer for it to dry. So you're better off, in my opinion, and what works for me. See how I'm going to go underneath there a little bit and bring it over? What works for me is several layers. So now what I want to do is come over the top of that seam with this. I said I was going to pause the video, didn't I? Okay, so here we go. So let's just come over here. There we go. Okay, so see that? We also want to be sure to get all those sitting down there good. So let's put a little bit up under the edge. And then pull it down and seal it over the top, just like that. It's pretty stinking simple, and this is where your creativity gets to come in as you create stuff. Like I said, this is the first coat. So I'm gonna stop it there for a minute while we finish it off, and then I'll show you. Actually, I'm gonna stop here, but this is what it would look like after the first coat here, and then the back. I didn't do the bottom because I like to have some place to hold on to it. So we're gonna let this dry really good. We might even do another layer of this before we do the bottom, but we wanna make sure that we have this bottom really good too. So there's what it will look like when it's done. Here's what it looks like now. And after, we'll do the next layer on another video. So we'll build up even more on the next video.